DRM comes from the Greek derma, meaning skin. For medical advice on a skin problem such as acne, we may go to a dermatologist or skin specialist. When we get a shot, it's usually with a hypodermic, a needle that goes under the skin, CHYP/HYPO. A pachyderm is a thick-skinned animal, which most of us just call an elephant. Dermal relating to the skin and especially to the dermis. The agency is always studying what can be done to prevent dermal exposure to chemicals in the workplace. The word dermal often comes up nowadays in connection with cosmetic treatments. Dermal therapy usually means restoring moisture to dry, cracked skin. Dermal fillers such as collagen can be injected to fill in acne scars or reduce wrinkles. These have now been joined by treatments like Botox, which paralyzes facial dermal muscles, again in order to reduce wrinkles, since those dermal muscles are used to form expressions. A synonym for dermal is cutaneous. Epidermis, the outer layer of the skin. The epidermis is the body's first line of defense against infection, external injury, and environmental stresses. Epidermis includes the Greek prefix epi-, meaning outer, cepi, thus, the epidermis overlies the dermis, or inner layer of skin. The epidermis itself consists of 4 or 5 layers. The outermost layer is made of dead cells, which are being shed continuously. The epidermis acts as a physical barrier, a protective wrap over the body's surface, which, by preventing water loss, allows vertebrates to live on land. Taxidermist, one who prepares, stuffs, and mounts the skins of dead animals. The taxidermist suggested that the bobcat be displayed in the act of leaping fiercely toward the viewer. Taxidermists are called on not only by sportsmen and collectors but by museums, movie studios, and advertisers. Taxidermists first remove the skin, with its fur, hair, or feathers, then create a plaster cast of the carcass with which to produce a mannequin, on which they replace the skin. Producing trophies of lifelike quality that often recreate an exciting moment requires physical skill, attention to detail, and sometimes artistic talent. Dermatitis, inflammation of the skin. The only dermatitis she had ever suffered had been the result of playing in poison ivy when she was little. Dermatitis usually appears as a rash, and may cause itching, blisters, swelling, and often scabbing and scaling. It often marks an allergic reaction of some kind. Contact dermatitis is caused by something, often a chemical, touching the skin. Atopic dermatitis usually affects the insides of the elbows, the backs of the knees, and the face, generally resulting from an inherited sensitivity. It's often triggered by inhaling something. Eczema, psoriasis, and dandruff are all forms of dermatitis. Even in the worst cases, dermatitis isn't infectious and doesn't produce serious health consequences. Endo comes from the Greek endon, meaning within. In English, it appears almost always in scientific terms, especially in biology. A non-scientific endo word is endogamy, meaning marriage within a specific group as required by custom or law, one of the many customs that can be seen everywhere from the most remote tribes to the highest society in wealthy countries. Endocrine, 1. A hormone. 2. Any of several glands, such as the thyroid, that pour their secretions directly into the blood or lymph. Since the endocrines are so vital to human life, affecting such things as cell growth and blood sugar, the chemicals known as endocrine disruptors can be destructive and even deadly. The body's glands remove specific substances from the blood and alter them for re-release into the blood or removal. Glands such as those that produce saliva and sweat secrete their products through tiny ducts or tubes on or near the body's surface. The glands without ducts, called the endocrine glands, instead secrete their products into the bloodstream. The endo root indicates that the secretions are internal rather than on the surface. The endocrine system includes such glands as the pituitary, which controls growth, regulates the other endocrines, and performs many other tasks, the thyroid, another growth gland that also influences metabolism, the adrenals, which secrete adrenaline and steroids, the hypothalamus, which influences sleep and weight regulation, and the ovaries, which produce eggs. Endocrine problems are treated by endocrinologists. Endodontic relating to a branch of dentistry that deals with the pulp of the teeth. Her dentist told her the problem was endodontic and that she should see a specialist soon to prevent loss of the tooth. Endodontists, as you might expect from the endo root, deal with the interior of the tooth. The tooth's enamel, on the outside, covers a thick layer, called the dentin. This in turn surrounds the innermost part, called the pulp, a mass of soft tissue through which nerves and blood vessels run. When a tooth has been badly damaged by decay or cracking, producing a risk of dangerous infection of the pulp, a root canal procedure is performed by an endodontist. Try to avoid ever getting to know an endodontist. Brush your teeth twice daily, floss before bedtime, and never let a cavity go unfilled for long. Endogenous developing or originating within a cell, organ, body, or system. Vitamin D can be obtained from food and supplements, but it's also an endogenous vitamin, produced by the body when the skin is exposed to sunlight. When biologists need to make a distinction between things that are produced within a cell or organ and things that affect it from the outside, they use the terms endogenous and exogenous. It used to be thought, for instance, that mutations in cells always resulted from exogenous causes, until it was discovered that substances in the body, including those called oxidants, could cause them endogenously as well. Circadian rhythms, the regular cycles, roughly 24 hours in length, that plants, animals, and humans rely on to regulate their days, are endogenously generated and don't actually depend on the sun for their timing. Endorphin, any of a group of proteins in the brain that are able to relieve pain. On the final stretch of her daily 5-mile run, she could usually count on the endorphins kicking in, giving her that beautiful runner's high. The word endorphin was coined, back when the substances were discovered in the 1970s, by joining pieces of endogenous and morphine being a narcotic that closely resembles the endorphins and relieves pain in a similar way. Studies suggest that the pain-relieving practice called acupuncture, see acupuncture, works by releasing endorphins. Endorphins also seem to play an important role in pregnancy. Though much remains to be learned about the endorphins, the general public seems ready to give them credit for any all-natural high.